Hey guys, welcome back to Nathan Butnett episode 73. Before we get into all the basketball stuff, I just want to make a few announcements like we do before every episode. For those of you that are new to my channel and maybe came from the convention that I went to, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for all the support that you guys showed, and I really do appreciate it. So be sure to keep up with this channel and keep up with the Instagram. We should have a Kickstarter going here soon, hopefully. So thank you guys so much for supporting. I really do mean that, and I really do appreciate it. So thank you guys so much. For those of you that don't know what I'm referring to, and maybe you're new to the channel, I am actually working on an indie game alongside this podcast and channel that I do. So with making the indie game, I actually went to a convention that was local to me called CobbleCon. It's basically a anime/gaming convention similar to Comic-Con, and I was actually given the opportunity to have a booth there and sort of promote the game and get people to follow it and all that. Here is some art and photos and things like that was taken there. And again, I really do appreciate all the support that you guys showed, and hopefully y'all will continue to follow the Instagram and show some support. So thank you guys so much. With that being said, I'm also going to go into something else that sort of affects the channel, not related to basketball, the TikTok and CapCut ban. So not going to get into the politics of it, just sort of how it affects the channel. TikTok is officially off of the App Store now. So the ban only lasted for about a day, it seems. So TikTok went dark on January 19th, I think it was. And then just a day later, it came back. But with that, it's off the App Store. So anybody that deleted it can no longer get it unless they change their iPhone or phone settings. And with that being said, I am one of those people that deleted TikTok. I thought that it was going to be banned for more than a day, and I just deleted the app, and I can't get it back. But with TikTok being deleted off my phone, I actually do see a bit more productivity from me. So that's one way that it affects the channel, is I'm actually getting more done by not having it and just working on videos and my indie game and stuff like that. However, with it deleted, that means that I'm probably not going to be uploading on TikTok that much anymore. I mean, I was already kind of behind on uploading on TikTok, if I'm being completely honest. I had a bunch of drafts on there that I just never posted. So if you're wanting to check out TikToks or short videos from me, I would just check it out on YouTube Shorts. That's where I upload the majority of my shorts and TikToks anyway. And YouTube Shorts is allowing up to 3-minute videos now, which makes it even better. So I would just check out all my short form videos on there. Unless I become more productive on TikTok and just upload stuff from my computer, since I can't get the app, TikTok is probably going to be old for me, and I'm just going to stick to YouTube Shorts. As for CapCut, I was actually worried for a bit. I was actually fully prepared to come onto this episode and give an announcement about sort of how the channel is going to change with the CapCut ban, because CapCut is what I edit in. But just like TikTok, it only ended up being banned for one day. So I actually started editing my Jimmy Butler video that's scheduled to come out next week in a different editing software, and was going to talk about that. And then when CapCut got unbanned, I edited the rest of the Jimmy Butler video and the Embiid video coming out in CapCut. So shouldn't be too much changes in the channel regarding that, since again CapCut is good now. But I was really worried for a while that I was gonna have to switch editing software and all that, but we should be good. But with all that said, we can go ahead and get into the actual NBA talk. So first things first, I want to go ahead and talk about NBA trade rumors. So let me pull up the link that I had saved here. I have two links. One is from NBC talking about NBA trade rumors and what they propose to happen. And then another one is from Bleacher Report saying trades that they think will happen. So some mock trades. So I'm recording this on January 30th, which means a week after, or this will go up on January 30th, sorry. So a week after I upload this, the trade deadline will have happened and we'll have seen a bit of this. But there's a lot of news about the Lakers proposing a trade and where certain players on the Lakers can go. People talking about Rui Hachimura being traded, reuniting with Lonzo Ball, things like that. And Anthony Davis and LeBron James wanting to get another big man. And I have a few things to say about this. Anthony Davis and LeBron both talking about getting a better big man will help them because it'll add depth to the roster. It'll make Anthony Davis the 4, things like that. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Lakers hater, so some of this may come from bias. But I really don't think that the issue, like getting another big man, is gonna magically fix all the Lakers' issues. To put it simply, LeBron is old and Anthony Davis has so many injuries. So they do need another big man, but they don't need the big man as like somebody to fill in for LeBron and AD. They just need to completely replace LeBron and AD because Anthony Davis gets injured. LeBron is too old. They just need a whole new Lakers roster because LeBron isn't even going to be there for that much longer anyway. They need to start preparing for the future and just rebuilding. And I honestly take every single proposed Lakers trade with a grain of salt as well because I love you guys, but Lakers fans sometimes are just simply intolerable, especially when it comes to trades, because they will say that during the offseason, the Lakers are going to get every single star that is up for free agency. They're going to, there are multiple people that make memes about that, how Bleacher Report is like, oh, the Lakers are going to trade for Curry by giving away Rui Hachimura and some other players. And it's like, they don't really, like, that's not a good trade value. That's simply not going to happen. And there were a lot of memes made about it this year where people were joking about the Lakers are going to get Lonzo Ball. They're going to get, who was it? The Lakers were going to get like 6 different players, people kept saying. And they ended up with none of them. So I really think that every Lakers trade needs to be taken with a grain of salt. And we'll see if they actually do make any moves. But knowing the Lakers, I have a feeling that nothing is going to happen. They already traded D'Lo. That was the big trade that everybody was waiting for. And so I don't think anything else is going to happen. The Bucks are open to exploring trades for Beal and Levine. With this, I'll just repeat what I've said multiple times. I think that the real thing that the Bucks need to do is they need to sort of replace that Drew Holiday that they lost. So I don't think injecting offense into the team is going to work. They kind of screwed themselves with the Damian Lillard trade, as I've said many times. They went for offense over defense when defense is what won them the championship. And for whatever reason, they just kind of tossed that out the window. They need another defensive player rather than getting a Beal or a Levine. They need somebody like Alex Caruso that went to the Thunder. They need like a defensive player. They need somebody that can replace Drew Holiday and get steals. They need Giannis to keep getting more blocks. They need more defense added to the team rather than star hunting, because otherwise, if the Bucks try and get another star and they have Giannis, Dame, and Beal, or whoever it is, they're just going to end up like the Suns, where they have 3 different stars that sort of have mix-matched chemistry and play styles together, and too much salary, and they're just going to end up being constrained by all the different contracts and players that don't work well together, just like the Suns are now. With the Suns, I know a lot of people are talking about trading Beal for Jimmy Butler, but if that happens, nothing for the Suns is going to change, because again, they're just going to have the exact same problem where Jimmy Butler has no experience playing with Booker, no experience playing with KD, and now you have 3 different stars' contracts that you have to deal with, and you know for a fact that if you have to take money out of Butler's contract re-signing to the Suns to sign KD or someone again, then Butler's just going to leave the team again, because that's how he left the 76ers. That's why he left Minnesota. That's why he left Chicago. And so if he doesn't get paid, then he's not going to stay on that team. That's his biggest issue. That's his biggest reason for leaving teams. And that's one reason he doesn't want to go to Memphis, because he doesn't feel like he's going to get paid in Memphis. I feel like they just need another good guard, because they need somebody sort of beside Ja Morant. And especially if Ja Morant gets suspended more, they really need somebody next to Ja Morant. I think that a Ja Morant Zion combo would be kind of cool with the lobs, because Ja Morant is always dunking, and then Zion as well goes for the alley-oops. But that's if Zion can stay healthy, because I know the Pelicans are talking about trading Zion as well. But where does that leave the Pelicans? The Pelicans need to get something good in return. The Chicago Bulls are listening to deals for stars, so they want to trade Nikola Vucevic and Zach LaVine, and I think that just shows that they're fully on the path to a rebuild, which we've seen. They already lost DeMar DeRozan, so they need to fully restart. But if that's the case, that would mean that they've basically done 2 or 3 rebuilds in the past decade, because they traded away Jimmy Butler again in an attempt to rebuild. So the Bulls are just going in circles, and I'll probably need to do a team timeline video on them or something, because it's just crazy how they've just been in a cycle of rebuilding and tearing it down, and rebuilding and tearing it down for years since they got rid of MJ. So with that said, these are the top 10 targets and landing spots and proposed trades for Bleacher Report. So number 10 is Bruce Brown from the Raptors. They think the best landing spot for him is Miami Heat. If the Heat wind up moving Butler, they'll need to get a multi-faceted swingman to replace his defensive versatility, creation, scoring. Bruce Brown could be good. He won with the Nuggets. I definitely don't think it'll be a replacement for Jimmy Butler, because Jimmy Butler is just built different. But it'll at least stop the Heat from completely crumbling. I'm gonna skip through a few of these. Nikola Vucevic, I'm not worried about. Kyle Kuzma to the Kings. I do think that it would definitely help if they get rid of Kevin Huerter, because they do need a shooter. But again, I don't like the idea of the Kings moving around their roster. I think the Kings had a solid roster and a solid coach, and then they got rid of Mike Brown, and now everything's out of whack. So I honestly don't know what's going to be best for the Kings, because the problem is that they completely threw Mike Brown out, and now they are just completely off the rails. So I don't even know what the plan or anything could be for the Kings, and what the best move for them would be, because the best move for them would have been to keep Mike Brown, and they already didn't do that. So now we just have to wait and see how everything works out. Colin Sexton to the Magic. This could be really good for the Magic. I've talked to JX Remy before about players that he wants and what he thinks the Magic will do to succeed. And he's talked before about getting a player. He didn't necessarily say Colin Sexton, but a player similar to Colin Sexton. He basically described Colin Sexton's play style. Replacing Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black, KCP, Zach LaVine going to the Pistons. That would definitely be interesting, because then the Pistons would have more star power. But I think that going to the Pistons is basically a career end for anybody. So that would mean that Zach LaVine is basically almost done with his career. Kuminga to the Nets would be cool. They say by landing Kuminga either in a direct deal or as the third team in a bigger trade, Brooklyn could get a head start on that process. It would have roughly 2 months to see how the former lottery pick handles the kind of featured role that the Golden State had never given him. If he thrives, the Nets could be ready to fork over serious cash to the restricted free agent. I think that would be really good for the Nets because we've seen that Kuminga, when he gets minutes in Golden State, does really well. And the Nets, I think, are a decent team. The Nets have done a good job at building a decent team that doesn't have just all-around stars. They're all decent players that are playing good roles. And that's sort of what I liked with the Kings with Mike Brown again, is that each person was kind of like good at what they did and didn't have to do it all. So I think adding Kuminga in there would be really good because Kuminga could be another shooter for that team and really boost them up, but isn't necessarily like a crazy star. Like you're not getting Curry from the Warriors to the Nets. You're getting Kuminga. So I think that would be really good. You probably wouldn't have to give up too much for him, again, if he's not getting minutes with the Warriors. So, however, it says that the Warriors are reluctant to part with him, which makes sense because Curry's getting older. The Warriors need to think about their future. And so, even though Kuminga doesn't have many minutes now, he could get minutes whenever they start planning for the next championship team. Brandon Ingram to the Spurs. I like this. This could be good because people are saying that we need to get Zach Collins out, so we could replace Zach Collins with Brandon Ingram, because they're both forwards. So that would be good. I do think Brandon Ingram is a solid player. He's just been plagued by playing on the Pelicans. So I do feel like if the Spurs got him, that would be pretty solid. Zion to the Charlotte Hornets. Zion with LaMelo would go crazy hard. I know I talked about Ja and Zion before, but LaMelo with Zion, I'm pretty sure they started around the same year. They weren't in the same drafts. The LaMelo was in the same draft as Anthony Edwards, which I think was 2020. And then Zion was either the year before or the year after. But they're still around the same age. So they could, if they become a good pairing, then they could stay together for a while. But again, it all depends on if Zion stays healthy. And then they say that the best landing spot for Butler would be the Suns. But again, I really disagree with that because the Suns would just be in the same situation that they were before. And again, like, it would just be a waste for the Suns. As for the Heat, if they got Beal in return, it would be decently solid, but they would need, again, some defense to fill Jimmy Butler. Just like if the Bucks tried to get Beal, they need defense. So, but with that said, I want to talk about the SGA versus Jokic versus Luka MVP debate. I made a tweet a long time ago, and I started the season off by retweeting that tweet saying that if Luka does not get MVP this year, it's not worth anything. I don't think that Luka is going to win it this year simply because he has Curry and Klay on the team now, which is certainly going to not make him shine as much. Before, he was scoring like 60 a night because he had to carry the Mavs. Now he has two helpers, so he's not going to be seen as much valuable anymore. But that's just how things work, I guess. Years ago he would have been MVP, but he simply didn't win it. But now he's doing more successful, but because he has teammates, he's sort of dropped in MVP because they're seen as helping him. And so I don't think Luka's going to win in the next few years, which is unfortunate because, again, I really do think that he deserves it. And many people have memed about how Luka is going to stay in Dallas and never win a chip and never win an MVP. which is really disappointing because he is one of the best players in the league right now. With that said, Jokic is also one of the best players in the league right now, if not the best, which I made a video on comparing him to Wilt. And his numbers show that Jokic mathematically is the most valuable player in the league. And again, I made a whole video on that, and mathematically, that is the MVP. And it's not even close with his box plus minus and his value over replacement and things like that. He's up there with LeBron and Jordan. But again, it just gets into the whole thing of voter fatigue where it's like, do people really want to see the same winner over and over and over? So SGA, he is very valuable to the Thunder. I think without him, the team wouldn't be nearly as successful. Like, sure, you have Chet, but would Chet be as successful if he didn't get assist and playmaking with SGA? And so SGA is valuable, but he's definitely not the most valuable Jokic is. But Jokic might not get it just because people don't want to see the same person win the award over and over and over again. And I think that's ironic because I was going to talk about All-Stars as well. And All-Stars, it seems like it's the exact opposite. These people are voting for All-Star, and it's the same people every single year. Like, I made that All-Star commercial, and I made my All-Star voting, and I said I wanted to see new young players. But even with all that, all of the starters are Giannis, LeBron, Curry, KD. It's the same people that we've had for years. And people complain about how the All-Star game is boring and how like the All-Star game is scuffed every year. But then they vote the same players every single year. And people got to realize that some of these players are getting old and they've been All-Star for decades. I mean, if we really want the All-Star game to be fun, we got to get new All-Stars in there. I understand that people love Curry. I understand that people love LeBron. And people see him as some of the best players of all time, let alone in the league right now. But if you're going to keep voting for the same people, you can't complain about the All-Star game being boring because you're giving it to the same people every single year. Wemby should have been a starter this year. I feel like Darius Garland should have been a starter. Some of these other young players I really would have liked to have seen as starters versus reserves, like Anthony Edwards, for instance. I don't know. I just feel like I need to go on a bit of a rant about it's just kind of hypocritical to complain about the boringness of the All-Star game, but then continue to just keep voting the same people. And again, I'm surprised that not as many people have voter fatigue when it comes to All-Stars as they do with MVP. Obviously, MVP is voted internally while All-Stars is voted by the fans. But again, I've had this take told to me before, and I can kind of give it some validity. I don't know how true it is, but I can kind of see it, where people say that the people, like I've heard others say that the kind of people that vote on All-Stars are the people that only watch basketball from TikTok edits. So that's the reason why like so many like LeBron, Curry, and people like that are winning every year. Is because it's not people that are watching regular season. They're just getting edits or videos of LeBron and Curry, and they vote on LeBron and Curry when they don't watch regular season basketball. And I think that is part of the problem, is just sort of the media bias around all of these players. But I would love to see some younger players get a chance. And these players are getting older. You know, they're more prone to injury, and that leads into them going sort of a slower pace in the All-Star game. People complain about how the All-Stars aren't trying in the All-Star game. Well, it's because it's an exhibition, and they're more prone to injury, so they're going to take it easier to conserve for the playoffs. if you want players that are actually going to try and play well, you need younger players that aren't going to get injured if they go for a dunk or anything crazy like that. But again, I gave my all-star picks last episode, and I just wanted to rant after seeing the all-star picks because I'm kind of sick of the old picks, and I want to see some new picks. But yeah. That's all I got for this episode. I know this is a really short episode, but again, I've just been working on so much lately, working on some videos, working on the indie game that I'm doing, things like that. I haven't had much of a chance to check out that many games, and I don't want to just come on here and talk about games if I haven't watched them. I don't want to BS you guys and do that to you, but I did want to give my takes about the All-Star starters, give my reaction to that, reaction to some trade rumors, and sort of talk about some MVP stuff. And again, thank you guys so much for everybody that came to the convention, all that good stuff. And that's all I got for this one. So next episode will be after the trade deadline, so I'll talk more about that. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, guys. Nathan Burnett, episode 73.
This is not okay. This needs to stop now.